I'm John Horn from the LA Times.
I'm Steve Zeitchik with the LA Times.
Hollywood Week in Review. Busy week, wasn't it?
It was a busy week. You know, the biggest story, one of the biggest stories in the industry was, of course, Alice in Wonderland. The exhibitors fighting back Disney's plan to shorten the window on theatrical. How do you think this all goes down?
Well, I don't know. This is something that's been playing out for a while. Paramount tried it with G.I. Joe last year. Sony tried it with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. The studios are making less money on DVD, and they say, we don't want to wait 4 months to release the video. We want 3 months. And the exhibitor is saying, either you stick to the traditional window or we're not going to book the film, especially in the UK, where 3 major chains said, out with Alice in Wonderland. They took out the trailers, took out the standees in the theaters.
Look, we've been waiting for this day for a long time, and I think this is really the first shot in what's going to be a very long battle. Ultimately, consumers will be able to see, to the chagrin perhaps of the theater owners, the exhibitors, they're going to be able to see films pretty much, if not concurrent with the DVD, then certainly in very close proximity to it. But for right now, it's going to be a bloody time, I think.
I would not be buying stock in movie exhibition chains right now.
Exactly right. Another big story this week, of course, Tom Cruise, after much hemming and hawing and much deliberation, he's back. He's going to play Ethan Hunt in a 4th Mission Impossible. We kind of thought he would because he always comes back to his sort of action wheelhouse, but certainly to the delight of Paramount, which I think wants him.
Well, the delight if they can make the deal. I mean, I think the trick with Tom Cruise in these movies, and it was certainly an issue earlier, is how do we make a movie where Tom Cruise gets what he deserves, and yet the studio isn't paying out money before it's made a profit?
Exactly right. I mean, this has been the sort of the great kind of mystery of this. I mean, this is one of the great franchises, both creatively but particularly commercially. But of course, with everything that went down about 3 or 4 summers ago with Sumner Redstone, there was a lot of back end that Cruise was getting that the studio wasn't happy with. I think what's going to happen here, they'll do it at a lower budget. They'll bring in a director. J.J. Abrams is going to produce, not going to direct. Right. So they'll be able to make it for a little bit less money. Hopefully, the effects still have the same kind of large-scale sort of feel and scope that they've had in the previous 3 films, because I think that's what fans want.
Speaking of effects, do you think, you've seen Wolfman, do you think the effects are going to rule the day over the weekend?
I'm still, I was hoping for the makeup guy from Teen Wolf to be, I was waiting for the big high school basketball climactic scene. You know, this is a film that just doesn't know what it wants to be. I mean, you know, the director fell off, Mark Romanek fell off the film, 3 weeks before production.
Right.
Joe Johnston came on, doesn't really, you know, it's trying to be a romance, it's trying to be a gothic movie, it's trying to be kind of a grindhouse horror movie, but he doesn't really have touch on any of those genres, and that comes through in the final product.
I think the real issue is for Universal, which has suffered through a horrible 2009. They've said, maybe our future lies in our monster movie vault. You know, they've recycled this one. They're going to try to make Jekyll and Hyde. I just, if this doesn't work, I mean, what happens to that whole business plan?
I talked to one of the executives there who said that, I said, you know, does this mean that Bride of Frankenstein and some of the other things you have now in development kind of gets backburnered? He says, no, look, we'll still open this movie, it'll do decently well. They've got to make these movies at the right price, though, because the $150 million or so that this costs, these movies can't sustain that.
Of course, the movie that's going to win the weekend is Valentine's Day.
Speaking of dark and horrific, but for reasons having nothing to do with werewolves, you know, this is a movie that's the worst reviewed movie of the year so far on Rotten Tomatoes. It's getting terrible buzz, but it's laden with stars from all walks of life, tracking amazingly well. It could out-open Sex and the City.
Sex and the City 2, before Sex and the City 2.
Exactly.
I'm John Horn from the LA Times.
Steve Zeitchik, we'll see you next time.